In this next fake news article from NPR, Hatemonger tracks how right-wing media shaped Trump policy architect Stephen Miller. And this is an author interview, and they're presenting it as factual information. It's not. Okay, so this is just infuriating. What they're saying about Stephen Miller, they're saying this guy's a white nationalist because he has the same views as me. I've already presented my views. My views are definitely not white nationalist, not racist, not xenophobic. In fact, I believe what I do because I believe that it's unfair if you don't do it that way. I think it's actually a liberal belief. It's not a right-leaning belief. It's in America. Conservatives are trying to conserve classical liberalism, the Constitution, free speech. So in America, conservatism is not the same thing as it is in Islamic countries. Conservatism in Islamic countries is brutal, savage. They beat and rape women. They cut people's heads and hands off. It's a very horrible system. Everything about it is bad. Muhammad had the false prophet Muhammad had a 9-year-old wife named Aisha, literally had a child bride. No, she was between 6 and 9. The youngest in the text they say she's 9, but then in one text they say, oh no, hold on. Most of the veridic, not veridic, I forget what they called it. Most of the it's not the Quran. There's other scriptures that go around it. Most of those say that Muhammad's child bride Aisha was 6, but there's some other things that say that she was 9. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say Aisha was 9. That still makes him a pedophile by every stretch of the imagination. So this book is saying that Stephen Miller is a white nationalist because he thinks that we should restrict immigration because the Democrats have been biasing immigration towards Democrats because, let me grab out the immigration data. I'm sorry, I already went over this once in the show, but we have to go over it again. I'm not going to go over the full thing. We're just going to go over a part of it. Here's a chart from the U.S. Census Bureau in 2017 national population projections. This figure is entitled U.S. Population 1900 to 2016, population projections from 2017 to 2060. And it shows you that with zero immigration, that we'll have, we'll reduce our population by about 10 million by 2060. We have 330 million. It'll go down to 319.7 million. If we have a low immigration scenario, we'll have 376 million.2. High immigration scenario, it would be 446.9 million people. So we can see that our birth rate is below the replacement rate, and that the immigration policies determine the size of our country, which is going to determine how much pollution we emit. So if you support a zero immigration scenario, they're saying that makes you a far-right extremist. This is insane. This is absolutely batshit crazy. First off, I'd like to ask any of you who think that zero immigration scenario would be a bad thing. I would like to ask which ones of you want to volunteer to give your house to Mexicans Anybody volunteering to give their house to Mexicans? Anybody want to give their business to a Colombian or a Brazilian or somebody from Argentina? No. None of you want to give your house away. No. Okay, so do you want your children, do you want to only have one child and then the illegal immigrants have 3 or 4 children? Sorry. No. I want to have 3 children, and I don't want illegal immigrants to take over my country. That's not white nationalism, dude. White nationalism says you want a whites-only country. That's white nationalism. Although I would disagree. Now, the term has morphed to mean that, and in that sense, yes. But white nationalism says that America has a white identity, and there is 76% of the population is white. But I would definitely push back that we don't. Our identity is definitely not white. Our identity is mixed with African Americans and with Latinos. So that would be our identity. So that, in which case, I would say white nationalism definitely fail. Just not true. There's no white identity. We definitely have a multicultural identity here in America. But does that mean that we should stop enforcing our immigration laws and we should move in hundreds of millions of Latinos? That would be insane. That's what Democrats want. Democrats want the 446.9 million scenario. That's what they want. They literally want that. They want this graph to go boo, 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 boo. And the reason why is because more labor, cheaper labor, and more customers. These people are so insanely corrupt. So let's dig deeper into this article. Why are they saying this? So here's the interview highlights. They said, first thing, they said how Larry Elder influenced Stephen Miller. If you're unfamiliar with Larry Elder, he's one of my heroes. He's one of my favorite African Americans in the entire world. Let's go look at Larry Elder. If you're unfamiliar with Larry Elder, this man, he's the man. Larry's the man. LarryElder.com. He's got a really good movie called Uncle Tom that you should watch. And he is absolutely not any sort of white nationalist or definitely not a racist. He's definitely an African American. Let's see if we got a picture of him. Better picture. Here's Larry Elder. Got a big smile. He's a very bright guy. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got a great YouTube channel. He's with the Epic Times, and his videos are really good. And they're always really good. He's really smart. He knows his stuff. And he's good. He's got that smile like, I'm Larry Elder. Oh, that's a pretty bad imitation, but he's a very, very, very smart person. So what else are they saying? You see Larry Elder. So Stephen Miller called up Larry Elder show. Was that the he called in? Yeah. So he called in Larry's show ranting about multiculturalism against the school's alleged lack of patriotism. Larry was very impressed with how articulate Stephen was. Really skilled at regurgitating talking points of other talk show hosts that have been listening to, like Rush Limbaugh. So they just completely discredited everything that they had to say by saying regurgitating talking points. They believe he's regurgitating talking points. He's just saying it because somebody else said it. Yeah. Fuck you, NPR. NPR needs to be defunded. These people are radicalized. These people are taking my tax money and they are using it to fund political hit pieces against political candidates that I support. I cannot support that in any way, shape, or form. NPR has to be defunded. We have to defund NPR. So they're saying he's regurgitating talking points from Rush Limbaugh. What's wrong with that? Apparently, they don't like Rush Limbaugh's talking points. I used to hate Rush Limbaugh because I used to be a brainwashed, radicalized liberal. I'd never listened to Rush Limbaugh. I had no... It's kind of mind-boggling that I actually hated Rush Limbaugh because I have still, to this day, only watched 1 or 2 Rush Limbaugh shows in my entire life. And it was recently. And Rush Limbaugh is awesome. I fully support a lot of stuff that he said. I'm not going to support 100% of anything anybody says, but Rush Limbaugh is actually he's a doctor. He's very smart. He knows his stuff. He's not just saying things because somebody else said it. He's saying things because he believes it, because it's true. Some of it's not true, but most of it's true. Vast majority of it is true. So Larry Elder helped get Stephen Miller into the social scene. So Miller attracted attention in his high school. He was talking about how students shouldn't have to pick up their trash because that's what the custodians there do. He says that's what we pay janitors to do. And a lot of students watching his speech that he gave thought it was pretty classist and racist because of the fact that there's only a handful of custodians at the school and they were all people of color. That's stupid. Okay, so first off, I have a really big problem with them taking quotes that they got from some person who went to high school with Stephen Miller 20 years ago. You're like, really? So somebody who went to high school with Stephen Miller 20 years ago is going to remember what this guy actually said? I'm calling bullshit on you. If you can prove me wrong there, you should comment on realsimplenews.net/issue 90. The article continuing in the sorry, can't talk right now. Continuing in the article, but his friends tell him that from very young age, Stephen Miller would say really outrageous things, like just trying to get a rouse out of people, which he did when during the speech. One of the student government leader was afraid that a riot was about to start, a race riot. And she felt that he had intended to create this chaos of people screaming at each other and getting really riled up. And I read some report that he had told some Latinos to go back to your country. And this is just absolutely insane, dude. This is fucking crazy, dude. I can't remember a single goddamn thing from high school, dude. I went to high school about the same time Stephen Miller did. I couldn't tell you a single goddamn thing anybody said, dude. It was 20 years ago. These people are like, basically, their memory is completely fouled, and then they're trying to spit it out like it's a fact. This is insane. Then next section says how being on the Larry Elder Show gained him attention of David Horowitz. He used to be a former Marxist turned right-wing radical who is kind of dedicated much of his life to fostering youth conservatives, like who kind of dedicate. He kind of did that. Boy, there's so much fake shit in this article. It's infuriating. Defund NPR. Let's look at what does Wikipedia say about this David Horowitz guy? American conservative writer, founder of the think tank David Horowitz Freedom Center, editor of the Front Page magazine, director of Discover the Networks, a website that tracks individuals and groups on the political left. Horowitz founded organization Students for Academic Freedom. He wrote several books with the author Peter Collier, including 4 on prominent 20th century American political families that had members elected to the presidency. He and Collier have collaborated on books on cultural Marxism. Horowitz worked on a columnist for Salon. Horowitz was an outspoken adherent of the New Left. He later rejected progressive ideas, became a defender of conservatism. Horowitz recounted the ideological journey of a series of retrospective books culminating in 1996, memoir of Radical Son, A General Odyssey. And so he said, this says critical, and so Horowitz accounts of in academia, his accounts of U.S. colleges and universities and bastions of liberal indoctrination have been disputed. I'm not disputing them. They are absolute leftist shithole. I've been through the university system recently. I actually got canceled. I actually got booted out because they didn't like the tone of my voice, and I'm having to sue them. In fact, I've even reapplied to the college recently, and they just don't reply at all. So I literally have no other choice other than to take them to court at this point in time. And it's because they're controlled by ivory tower liberals. If they don't like your tone of voice, you're out. There's no free speech. It's authoritarianism over there. This is why I run my own business, because I don't suck, and I'm not like that. So they said he allegations of racism. Chirp Brett writing for Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a fake news website. They run donation scams using a fake hate map that they have been sued. They have actually settled lawsuits. They're going to have many more because they settled the one. Now everybody's coming after them. Many people are suing the SPLC for their fake hate map. The Republican National Convention, do we have this? Let's pull out. I'm going to pull it out. We're going to go over to, I shared it. So here it is. This fake news article from the Southern Poverty Law Center says SPL responds to RNC resolution. The Southern Poverty Law Center president and CEO, Margaret Hoang, issued a statement below following the Republican National Committee's approval of a resolution challenging the SPLC's identification and condemnation of hate groups. Quote, this Republican National Committee's resolution is an attack on the SPLC's definition of hate groups in order to excuse the Trump administration's history of working with individuals and organizations that malign entire groups of people, such as black looter mobs, advocates of immigration, Muslims, and an LGBT community with dehumanizing rhetoric. I can't stand these people. SPLC is some of the most scummy leftists in the entire world. If you're unfamiliar with these people, let's look them up. SPLC. Hold on. So when you look at, here, I got up. Hold on. Their thing has changed. So when you look up Southern Poverty Law Center, you're going to see the hate group maps, ways to give, exposing extremists, donate now. This is their business model. Their business model is based around the hate map, and that's how they get donations. So in order to keep their donations going, they have to keep this fake hate map going. And the hate map level is at 0, but they don't show it to you. They want you to. They want to show you all these little bubbles. They're like, oh, here's all the hate groups, right? And they want to put as many as possible in there so that if you're in that state, like, oh man, there's a bunch of dots here. I got to donate to the SPLC. And then what they don't tell you is that the hate map level is 1. It's the lowest that it can be. So there's no reason to donate to the Southern Poverty Law Center, but they can't actually tell you that, or else you wouldn't donate to them. They have to scam you into thinking that there's an epidemic of hate groups when in reality it's absolutely not true. Do they even say anything? The level of hate activity in the country, yeah, they don't. They don't even tell you what the thing is. It's the lowest level possible. They used to. If it actually was above 1, they would tell you. But that's the thing. They don't tell you what the level is, and it's because they're a scam. They're out to get donations from suckers who will believe anything that they say. So they're saying David Horowitz is a right-wing radical. So I'm just so confused. What's the difference in between a right-wing radical and a far-right extremist? Because they kind of sound the same. If you ask me, if you said right-wing radical, then that would be the same thing as a far-right extremist, right? It's all a lie. Everything in here is a bunch of bullshit. What else do they say? It says on his time at Duke, reading on in the article, the next section of the fake news article about Stephen Miller, on his time at Duke in his response to accusations at rape against Duke lacrosse players. What does this have to do anything with white nationalism, dude? You say, I didn't. I mean, wasn't that whole thing was bullshit? Anyways, that Duke lacrosse rape thing. Wikipedia says Duke lacrosse case was widely reported. 2006 criminal case in Durham, North Carolina, which had 3 members of the Duke University men's lacrosse team were falsely accused of rape. And so this article says he was repeatedly drawn to racial controversies, primarily, arguing against multiculturalism as some kind of existential threat to him. No, he's arguing against the doctrine of diversity. That's not the same thing as arguing against multiculturalism. No, the doctrine of diversity is straight up cultural Marxist scum shit. Only a cultural Marxist would believe in doctrine of diversity. Doctrine of diversity is dogmatic belief that non-diverse teams are inferior to diverse teams. They are literally the scum of the earth cultural Marxists. They are the most horrible people that you can come across in America. No, that would be hood Democrats. They kill about 20,000. Hold on. Hood Democrats kill an insane number of thousands of African Americans per year. Hood Democrats are low income, big city liberals who vote for Democrats. And, well, I wouldn't call them liberals. No, let's not call them liberals. Hood Democrats just vote for Democrats because they think they're good people. I don't think that they're liberals in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that they actually agree with fairness. I think that if they had a chance to bias everything towards themselves and make it completely unfair, they would completely do that. Absolutely. In fact, maybe I would too. I don't know. I've always been more fair. I used to be a radicalized feminist. I used to believe that the white man was oppressed and that the white man was a privileged racist and that we had to attack their white privilege. And this is absolutely insanity. I even used to work as a minority outreach counselor for Portland State University. And I was a student ambassador, and my job was to recruit minorities to replace the white men. And my boss was a Latina, and she told me we weren't looking for the African Americans because their GPAs were too low. We were recruiting Latinos, Asians, and women. Hold on, no. Women, Kleenex, and Wagons. So here you can see that there's this graph shows you the GPAs of all the different races. And you can see the GPAs of the African Americans. They're very low. Supposedly, the reason why they're doing so bad is because of racism against them. But the Latinos, they immigrated from way more poor than African Americans, and they have better GPAs than them. So I'm calling bullshit on that. But they really do believe that if your team's all white, that it's inferior to a diverse team. And that is racism. That's literally the spitting definition of racism. That's like you're saying these people are inferior because they're white. That's absolutely just wrong in every way, shape, and form. Diversity does not come because of your skin color. It comes of your location, temporal locality, time and place. Diverse teams are teams that come from different states, not all from the same city. But they don't understand. To them, they just think, diverse teams are superior to non-diverse teams. So we have to get rid of the white man because there's too many white males here because there's 76% white males. So we need to make it so that there's 50% African Americans, 50% women, 50% Asians, and 50% Kleenex. And the Indians are not in there. Neither are the Native Americans. Hold on. No, I'm sorry. They're Amerindians. I am native to America. I am native to Oregon. I was born here. My family's here. I have another child who's here. He is also native to the Willamette Valley in Oregon. It is true. In fact, almost everyone around here is white. If you ask what somebody who is native to the Willamette Valley in Oregon looks like, they will tell you it looks like a white person. In fact, I am proof that indeed people who do live in Eugene, Oregon are in fact very white. Even the Latinos are very white. So hold on, reading the article, I got a little tangent there, and just singling out his black classmates. At one point, he became very obsessed with the Duke lacrosse scandal, where a black woman accused several Duke players of having raped her, and those accusations were ultimately found to be false. But during the investigation, when people were trying to get to the bottom of what had happened, Steve Miller rushed to the defense of the white players, saying that they were being targeted simply because of their white skin color. You see him getting invited to talk on national TV shows, and you see kind of Stephen Miller really doubling down, tripling down. Here, what did the Wikipedia thing say? Oops. Three students were all white. What does it say? Team captain requested 2 white strippers. Calling for a woman complaining the white men had gathered outside of the home to sodomize her with a broomstick. So what, they asked for white strippers and the black chick got pissed off? Although let's go back because I'm actually rather interested in this. A team captain contacted Allure, an escort service, and requested 2 white strippers. However, 2 women arrived, Magnum and Kim Mira Roberts, a.k.a. Kim Mira Pittman, were respectively black and biracial. Before arriving at the party, Magnum and her administration had consumed alcohol. Magnum, I'm going to skip some sections so we can go faster. Magnum and Roberts traveled the party separately. Roberts drove herself, arrived. Magnus drops the man. According to the team captains, players asked if the strippers had any sex toys. Roberts responded by asking the players penis was too small. The player was brandished a broomstick, said, use this as a sex toy, exchanged the words, abruptly stopped the performance, and both strippers shut themselves in the home's bathroom. While the women were still in the bathroom, these guys left the house. Women eventually came out. Magnum roamed around the yard, half dressed and shouting. According to Magnum, the women were coaxed back into the house with an apology, which they were separated. She was assisted and dragged into the bedroom and raped, beaten, and choked for a half hour. Later, police received 911 call complaining white men gathered outside the home where the party took place, called her racial slurs, intended to sodomize her with a broomstick. And so the photo showed 46 white lacrosse team members had not attended the party with no fillers. DNA test. Magnum stated that her attacker was white. It's announced DNA testing the had failed to connect any of the 47 test specimens to the alleged rape, exonerated by DNA evidence. Durham police told that this is an inconsistencies in Magnum's story. Durham told police that kept her story was not credible, reporting that she initially told them she was raped by 20 white men, later reducing it down to only 3. So the strip club security. Hold on. What section is this? Other credibility issues. Strip club security officer said the Magnum told coworkers for days after the party that she was going to get the money from some boys at a Duke party who had not paid her, mentioning these boys were white. Plaintiffs contended that they had alleged race discrimination as wife plaintiffs. However, Section 1995 claims this Star 971 convention fails for 2 reasons. First, Supreme Court and Fourth Circuits have indicated the intent was to limit the protection of Section 1985 to discriminate those against classes or persons who are so far as the enforcement of their rights is concerned in unprotected circumstances similar to those of the victims of the Klan violence. Okay, so it was about the race. This is definitely 100% conclusive here. They said in the Civil Rights Act, this was intended to be used for black people. They're white, so they can't use it. I think that that's insane. If that actually says that, we need to change that. That absolutely should not say that. But as you can see, again, NPR, fake news. This is absolutely fake news. And then so at the end, it goes into his connections with Steve Bannon. And they said that, you know, Steve Bannon did advocate white national. Okay, so when Steve Bannon advocated for white nationalism, when the alt-right had not hit Heather Heyer with that car, white nationalism did not have the same negative connotation that it has. It was at that point in time that they started jumping on it and saying, no, only KKK want white nationalism. Then they changed it into the definition where white nationalism is whites only. That's not actually true. It's white nationalism means that you say that American culture is white. I don't agree because hip hop is definitely not white. Definitely not white. But if you did think that, I'm not going to think that you're a bad person for thinking that. It definitely there's a lot of tricky things in life that can be confusing. So in the last section, it says on Miller and Trump relationship, goes into how they work together. And so, as you can see, this is obviously not white nationalist. There's nothing in here that says he wanted a whites only, that he's doing this to be racist to people. No, he feels he thinks the same thing that I do, which is that the leftists have taken over with this doctrine of diversity. They're trying to attack white privilege. They're trying to remove the white males from the workplace. They're trying to use racism as bullshit excuses to justify anything they want. Like they said, Stephen Miller was racist for thinking that he shouldn't have to clean up after himself at school because janitors get paid to do that. I don't agree with that, but I don't see how that makes you a bad person. When you go to a restaurant, that's what they do. I personally think that we should put in a little bit more work to lower the tax burden on the people. But if you think that we should pay a janitor to clean up after the kids, more power to you, man. I'm not gonna hate on your idea. I don't personally endorse that, but I do endorse you having the right to freedom of speech and not being harassed for your beliefs. Woo! Oh, and then here's the definition of hate mongering. So it says the act or practice of stirring up hatred or enmity in others. Enmity. That one's hard to say. Enmity. Like anonymity. Deep-seated, often mutual hatred. So, deep-seated, often mutual hatred. What group of people is stirring up hatred and against another group of people right now. Which groups of people hates Republicans? Obviously, that would be the Democrats. The Democrats use hatred. Hold on. What's the definition of the hate group? Definition of a hate group here is that it's a social group that advocates practices of hatred, hostility, and violence towards members of a race, ethnicity, nation, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or some other designation of society. And so this would Democrats would fit the definition of this because they advocate for hatred, hostility, and violence towards police officers, towards business owners, and towards Republicans because they think that white males are privileged and they have to have their white privilege attacked, and that they cannot come up in the workplace because the African Americans need to have that spot because of equity. And they are targeting white males, so that's a sexual orientation. They are targeting a gender. They're targeting straight white males. So that's the sexual orientation. And then the gender is the white males. Ethnicity, white people. Nation, Americans. They don't like people who... They would prefer it if Latinos from outside of the country would be here to replace the white people because they think you're racist and your kids can't control the country because you're racist, which is a load of horseshit nonsense. So we have to defund NPR. NPR is a horrible leftist group that we fund with taxpayer money, and they take your taxpayer money and they write hit pieces on political candidates that you support. So this is why we have to defund NPR.